It all started with the Stamp Act of December 16, 1773. What started? Why, the beginning of the American Revolution. It was an action led by the Sons of Liberty under the direction of Samuel Adams and John Hancock. Here in Napa Valley, there is and has been a populist uprising known as the Napa Tea Party, inspired and fueled by this charming lady, Pam Toby Solman. Pam is our hostess today as we throw a symbolic iced tea party for our congressional candidate, Loren Hanks, Republican and reservist in the U.S. Air Force, the candidate for the congressional seat held by the Democratic incumbent, Mike Thompson.
No.
And I mean, the records are there and obvious. The Obamacare health care, if you prefer, the stimulus spending. We've got cap and trade on the horizon that we'll see how that pans out, but there's another $1 trillion. And we have seen this government, this administration, and this Congress make trillion the new standard denomination. It used to be billions meant something, and now if it isn't $1 trillion, it's a lesser bill. And we have to turn this around because we are not taking in enough money to sustain the spending that we're committing to. And not that we should take in that much money either. We have to reduce the spending, and we have to reduce the tax burden in order to get business confident in their own enterprise. And consumers, I don't believe, have a confidence level, and neither one will, business nor consumers, until we can prove to them that the government is not lining up to take more of the pot from them. So.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next question, prosperity and jobs in our district. Do you have a plan on what you could do to make that picture a better one for us?
Well, I'm always a little concerned when I hear government and government officials talk about jobs. The only jobs that they can create are government jobs, and apparently they're doing a great job at that. You heard the May job statistics that 95% of the jobs were government jobs. We can't sustain that. But what government can do to make a job-friendly environment is back off on its spending and on the taxation. And like I was saying earlier, Pam, give the consumers and business confidence that government is not going to penalize them more, and give them the opportunity to grow their own business and then make the decision whether or not they need more employees to be more successful.
And the ability to hire people again.
Right. I mean, we're looking at statewide, what, over 12% unemployment, and in the first district there are counties that are close to 20, official, and then if you count in those that have stopped looking, then it goes even higher, and that's unsustainable and certainly ruinous to small families, small farms, small businesses.
This is so good because your answer leads me to my next question. If we lower government spending, how are we going to not hurt people in this weak economy?
Well, I'd see it almost as an inverse. If you lower the spending, you'll be helping people. The idea that the government is giving back what it's taking from you, it never does. We'd be much better off if the government didn't take it in the first place. We will start seeing little road signs where the blacktop is smoothed over, and another government works project. But the fact is that we've done it on borrowed money and debt, and we aren't getting a return on it. So I think we're going to have to slow this down, and we're taking in $2.1 trillion in revenue right now, but we're spending $3.6 trillion this year, and those numbers will probably flex so that there's a wider spread, anywhere around $1.4 to $1.6 trillion in debt, and that's bad. I mean, last year it was $161 billion, the last Bush year, and that was bad, but now we're at the 10 times that mark. And we are scheduled, our national debt just went over $13 trillion. They've passed 2 measures to extend the national debt to $14 trillion, and it'll be $20 trillion by the end of, by 2019. I see these numbers as anchors, anvils, not just on tied to our leg, but going to hit us in the head here pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I'm very concerned that we're going to see a double dip in the economy. That some of what we're seeing right now, as a matter of fact, in any stimulation in the economy is in anticipation of the taxes that are due to expire at the end of this year going back into effect, and so it's promoting spending right here and right now, and it's still somewhat anemic. So
Yeah.
if we don't change this, 2011 is going to look very, very
I know.
bad.
Just think what'll happen next year. Yeah, because they're doing it this year, because next year's going to be worse. They've brought us to the edge of a cliff.
Right. And it brings the point too about 2011. One of the reasons I decided to run is I was very uncomfortable, not just with the legislation, but the way that they pounded it through.
Oh, yeah.
And it seemed as if there was an element of contempt for the people and the positions. And the health care bill had a 60% disapproval rating, and it's actually going up now over the summer when they expected to be able to sell it after it had been passed, and the spread is getting wider.
Well, because we can read it now, Loren.
Well,
pass it first, read it later.
That's a good point.
Now that they're reading it, they don't like it.
And then I know Mike Thompson was quoted in the Napa Valley Register as talking about fixing some of the unintended consequences of this bill, and that's bothersome to me. If you have a 2,700-page bill and it's got unintended consequences, it seems to me you shouldn't have passed it in the first place.
Amen.
But the contempt that I saw was just basically determined and made me realize that the reason I'm doing this is valid. And if we don't take control of at least one body of either the House or the Senate and get control of the calendar again, of the legislative calendar, the contempt we're going to see in 2011 is going to be worse than what we already experienced, because they'll see it as a mandate. So we have to get one of these bodies
some balance.
Right. One of the chambers has to switch hands, and I think the House is the most likely.